Transmission of Rod and Reel Streamside on WCFE is made possible in part with a grant from Gordon's Marine Tackle and Archery, located on Route 3, West Plattsburgh, where sportsmen serve sportsmen. Additional funding provided by Plattsburgh Quarries, Saranac Lake Quarries, Malone Quarries, and Potsdam Stone and Concrete, suppliers of stone and products made from stone to the North Country. And Tudhope Marine, U.S. Route 2 on Lake Champlain, North Hero, Vermont.
Welcome to another Rod and Reel Streamside. Isn't this setting absolutely beautiful? We're in the heart of the Adirondacks at the turn of the seasons. Autumn is just upon us. And today we're going to be fishing for a fish that's equally beautiful to the setting, the American brook trout. Joining me on today's show is Doug Deno. Doug is a lifelong resident of this area around Tupper Lake, and he lives to fish brook trout. Is that right, Doug?
You got it.
Well, Dick is going to show us how to fish brookies, a method that's been used since the turn of the century. Something that when you were a boy, everybody fished, and now today they've all gone to lures and they've forgotten how to do it. We're going to show you again how to do that today. And if the fish cooperate, we should have a great show. I hope you stay with us.
Local production of Rod and Reel Streamside is made possible by grants from Voyageur Depot Incorporated, Vanier and Orleans, Ontario, meeting fishermen's needs. Faye's Drugs Sporting Goods, Watertown, New York, carriers of a large selection of hunting and fishing equipment. Tip Top Sports Shop, Tupper Lake, New York, suppliers of fishing equipment for the Adirondack region. And Northrop Ford Motor Company Incorporated, Watertown, New York, serving your off-road driving needs since 1913.
Well, you know, when you think about Adirondack brook trout fishing, you think of Lake Clear wobblers. That's a spoon, but it's synonymous with fishing up here. And you know, it's something I've never used. Dick, you're going to show us how to use those today. Just as we were doing the opening for the show, another gentleman came down here that had been fishing here yesterday, and he's going out too, so you'll probably see him cruising around the pond. He said they did really well yesterday, got some nice big brookies. We're going to be fishing with what? When we use a Lake Clear wobbler, we're going to be fishing with that and a worm at the end. Is that right?
We use a night crawler.
Is that the way you always fish them, Dick?
For many, many years. And it's been successful.
Well, have you been fishing lately?
I haven't fished as much throughout this summer as I usually do. And the reason for that is, one of the things, at least, was heat.
Yeah. Oh, we've had a terrible hot summer. But now it's cool.
And now that it's cooled down, the water's cooled down, hopefully we will catch some fish.
Oh, I have no doubt about it. I just feel good about today. Everything seems right, and you're going to be the guide. You're going to lead us onto those brookies. So what do you say we get going? And as we go along today, you can tell us more about tales of the past and all the great big brookies that have got away over the years. Okay?
Let's get to it.
Okay, Dick.
If you will give me that club.
Your plastic worm?
I got a plastic one on there for the time being. I'll just drag that around for a bit. And,
will they hit that?
Well, they've been known to.
Do I let it out right now, Dick, or?
Well, let's get out here in a little deeper water when we can. You know, there's one spot I used to go to a lot. It was a restaurant and a motel called Hansel and Gretel. And there was, some real fast water.
Mm-hmm.
And below that fast water was a huge pool. Beautiful pool. Biggest from here to the shore over there. And on one side of it, rock coming right down straight.
Mm-hmm.
And the other side was all sand. I used to get in there at times, certain times, catch 8, 10 trout, nothing flat.
Really?
Yeah, other times it was slow. But what used to bug me was, just above that, you could only fish with artificial lures. And I couldn't begin to count the trout. Nice trout, 10, 12, 14-inch trout that would come floating down through the dead. In that above that area, above the rapids, you had to, it was something like Mountain Pond. You couldn't keep the fish, you had to release them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these guys are out there, they're using MEPs and rooster tails and whatever. And, these fish hit, they got treble hooks on there. Probably a lot of these guys don't know how to release fish.
That's right.
And, you know what I mean? They just grab them, squeeze them, and yank the thing out, and then they throw them back in there. Well, the fish swims away. 5 minutes later, he's floating.
That's right.
And it was a shame, to see these. That's why
That happens so much. You're right. Fish handling is what kills so many fish.
That's right.
It's so... You can't wipe the slime off. You can't bang them. They...
If you have to handle a fish, my theory is put your hands in the water.
Actually, if you can handle them with pliers or something, right, never bring them in the boat. You have an awful lot more live than trying to put them in your hands or even getting them in the net. That wipes the slime off. That net really takes the slime off them.
That's the fish's life.
That's right. It's protection against infection. Well, we should hit this is one of your spots that
right
you
here,
like.
right where we're sitting right now.
Is it?
So another 50 feet here.
We should have
we should get a hit.
Boy, I hope
That
so.
sound like parrot now.
No, you got to be optimistic. You got to think. That's based on your past experiences, where you think they're going to hit. There was a strike. It's all tangled up here.
Oh, my God.
All tangled around you. Not still there, is he? Is he still hitting, or?
Got one.
Well, now, that's super. After I fixed the line around your rod tip, aren't you glad you got me with you today?
That's right. He's about to come up.
Is he? I didn't know brookies did that. Do you feel any size to them? Can't tell, or?
Can't tell.
Well, if there's one out there, there's another one going to hit mine.
You might get that net out.
Oh.
Yeah, there he is.
Is he a nice fish?
Yeah, he's fairly nice rookie.
I got to get the net out from underneath the pack basket. Oh, yeah. Just wait just a minute, Dick. Let me get the net out of... Oh, wow. That is a darn nice fish.
Let's work him a little while.
All right, you work...
You got him on...
Yeah, you work him any way you want. Wow. Well, that's a beautiful fish, but I'll tell you what, if he hasn't swallowed it, I just soon let him go. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Can you paddle us backwards just that way a little bit? Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You do know what you're doing, Dick.
Which way you want to go? This
I
way?
want to go right that way. That's good. Just like that, slowly. And I want to see how badly he's hooked. Oh, if he's not hooked too badly, I want to let him go, but if he is, then we'll keep him for supper. How's that?
Suit yourself.
Or, is this a snelled hook you got on here?
Yeah.
I could bite that snell off and he'll live.
You want to let him go?
Yeah, I'd just as soon.
Okay, just break it off.
I'm going to
break the snell and...
what I'm going to do, though, before we do that, is I want to hold them up and show everybody what a beautiful... Because I mentioned in the beginning that these fish rival the beauty of the setting, and they really do. We'll keep them right in the net, and if he'll stop flopping... Now, that's what you call a beautiful fish. That is a mountain brook trout. That's a good chunky one, too.
Nice fat fish.
Yeah. Is this about average for in here?
That's about average size.
Well, Dick, I'm awful pleased that you caught that. That's a good way to start. Now, you've broken the ice, broken the water. I'm going to bite that off, though, and I want this fish to live. You don't normally keep your fish anyway, do you?
No.
We'll let him go back. Well...
He'll be all right.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
He's pretty exhausted right now.
I think he'll make it.
Well, if he doesn't, we'll re-net him. Well, Dick, why don't we show everybody exactly how we rig up one of these Lake Clear rigs, and you can start right from the very top. I notice you got a keel on there.
Well, that I use to kind of take some of the twist out of the line.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, maybe I can help you here.
Which can be a big problem.
Okay.
Then
That's
I
a pretty
go
good-sized keel.
About, what's that, a foot, 15 inches?
Yeah.
I tie on the Lake Clear wobbler.
Hold that right up so everybody can see what it is.
As you know, the Lake Clear wobbler, probably the best brook trout spoon ever made.
Well, that's what I've heard, Dick.
Then I use a swivel in the back.
Uh-huh.
Most of the time, I use half a night crawler.
I see. You got a little bitty size 10 or 8 hook on
I'm using an 8 hook, number 8.
8 snelled hook on the end of that Lake Clear. And half a night crawler. Does it matter which half? I'm serious now. You know, the head or the tail?
I kind of like to use the tail.
Uh-huh.
That's just my theory.
No, I always preferred the tails, too. I really have.
And I hook him so that he will...
Dangle right down there. Just hook it.
As straight as possible. And let her out. And
catch fish, right?
Hopefully.
Well, Dick, now, when you're trolling
Can you see the action of the spoon? That is the proper way to use the Lake Clear wobbler.
Well, Dick, I think it's time now, after you caught that one, that we go cast out and catch another fish. Now, you say we cast out about 50 feet?
Somewhere's in that 40 to 50 feet.
Now, you've got to move the canoe just fast enough so that just wobbles back and forth. Is that right?
That's right. So if you can get the right speed to where the spoon wobbles, which is the Lake Clear wobbler.
Yeah. Can you go too fast?
Yes, you can. Because if you go too fast, it spins. And it defeats the purpose of the spoon.
So you want it just fast enough to wobble back and forth. And that attracts their attention.
So
and then they come up and get what's behind it.
Turns it.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you can all see it or not, but this rod tip, Dick sets the rod down because he's got a paddle us and row us. And he watches the rod tip. And you can actually see as you watch that if it goes like this. And I think you might be able to see it, especially if I get right as a backdrop so you got a background. You can see that moving ever so much. And that pretty much tells you if you're going the right speed. And, you know, another thing that comes to mind, Dick, when you're fishing a pond like this, you know, we paddle all around it. Those fish can be any place, can't they? They can be in the middle, along the sides.
Absolutely.
So you just kind of fish all over till you find them. This time of the year, I've heard that the trout school up. Do you know if that's true or not?
It's a possibility.
Because I know they're getting ready to spawn.
And I would think that they get in close to shore to spawn.
Boy, I keep watching that rod, and it keeps doing some weird things. Mine isn't doing anything. Maybe I got the wrong color. We'll get into colors of these wobblers, too, in a little bit. We'll see if that's silver, what you're using. I'm using copper. is the better fish taker.
Well,
Or if that was just...
I always kind of favored
Did
the
you?
silver one.
Huh.
You know, the original Lake Clear wobbler was a silver spoon.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
How big a brook trout, Dick, do they actually grow in here, or grow in here?
Well, that's a good question. But I have caught 18-inch brook trout out of here.
So
Not a lot of them,
Uh-huh.
but
Well,
every once in a while you get the big surprise.
Boy, I guess maybe if you get one over 18 inches. But you know, that's the beauty. We passed a whole bunch of ponds getting in here, and you selected this pond only because it was accessible for us. Is that correct?
Yes.
But do all the ponds have fish in them?
To the best of my knowledge, they do.
How do you pick a pond when you go fishing? Just a whim?
Just a guess. Give it a whirl. If it pays off, you come back. If not, look for another one.
Well, the guy that's fishing down the other end of the pond said that they were really nailing in here yesterday, so he came back. But I haven't seen him catch any fish yet.
I haven't seen them either.
But that's the way brook trout fishing is. You know that. You've been
Here
fishing
today and
all
gone
year.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Those doggone trout sure hit yours, don't they? Where'd the fish go? They're the duckies. It took off.
You're around the corner there.
Gee! I never seen a guy get so many fish.
Got one. I got this one.
So far. I never see a guy so lucky. I don't know, you're holding your something right. I gotta get mine in so I can grab that Dick Deno net that I'm sitting in. What are you doing that I'm not doing?
Dragging the spoon.
I'm dragging the spoon. Maybe I'm dragging it to, oh boy. Boy, that's a pretty fish. You act just like you've done it 1,000 times before. Have you?
Oh, I got a few.
Boy, that's a nice...
Is he getting this?
Huh?
Is he getting this?
I sure hope so. The way they've been tearing up the water today. That isn't the way you net them, is it? Oh, that's nice. That is really nice.
That's
Boy,
nice trout.
you know, they're awful healthy in here, aren't they?
Yeah, they're nice fish.
They're stocky in here. I'm going to see... Dick, you used to... Dick, now I don't understand this. I watched that fish hit, and he didn't hit over 3 jabs, and you nailed him. And yet he's got that down in his stomach again. You know what I'm going to do with this fish?
What?
Well, first of all, I'm going to get him out of the net, and I'm going to show him to everybody. Well, that's about as close as I can get to one, is to hold your fish. But I'm tickled to death to see you catch him. Boy, that's a pretty brookie. That's, I think, a little bigger than the first one, don't you think so?
I think a little bit.
But, Dick, what is this technique you have of letting them swallow it? Is that the old,
No,
the Dick Deno
I
Adirondack
don't have
style?
an answer for that.
Well, you know what I'm going to do with this one? I don't think he's going to live.
You want to keep him?
Yeah, I want to keep him. So I'm going to display this fish for everybody so they can see what they can come up here and catch. Dick,
No, just tell them what they're missing.
what they're missing by not coming up here. You go with the conservation department to stock fish quite often, don't you?
Yeah.
Are there a lot of ponds where they put these fish in?
Oh, several.
If you were to pick a pond, is there any that stands out, or are they all good?
They're all good.
Are they really?
Yeah. I don't have any particular one that I favor more than another.
How do you feel about having all the folks watching this coming up here and fishing this area? Does that bother you, or does it make you feel good, or?
Doesn't bother me. I don't think it's the best thing for our fish, but we have the pond covered with boats, but then the public
But you know something, Dick?
is entitled to this as much as the next anybody.
That's true. And it isn't really for us to, I'm going to try to turn here, so our boat's turning a little bit. It really isn't for us to decide who has the right to fish and who doesn't.
That's right.
The only thing we can hope is that other people enjoy this fishing as much as we do and respect the wildness of it and the beauty of it and don't pollute it. And you know, you can't get a lot of boats in these ponds anyway. You got to be able to put a canoe in like this because there isn't any place to put a big boat. Well, you've seen the brookie. I'd sure like to catch one. I'll be truthful with you. I'd like to know what you're doing that I'm not doing. It's something.
I'm not doing anything special.
Well, maybe if I watch you long enough, I'll learn it by the end of the day. I'm going to have to cut your hook off, though. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I'm trying. There we go. I'm going to put him right in my pack basket. That is a beautiful brook trout. That thing's got to go 13, 14 inches, doesn't it? There goes your candy bar, Dick. You aren't going to get that. All playing for that spot that he's going to take.
The ducks again. Boy, you got right in close to them.
Well, you know, this type of fishing is a type of fishing that you can do alone. You don't even need a buddy to go with you. If you have a canoe like we've got here with oars or paddles fixed into oars, it makes it really ideal because you can set your rod down and you can paddle and you can face the rod, unlike the conventional way of paddling a canoe. But you still have the problem that if a fish strikes, what are you going to do? Are you going to get to the rod? You've got to put your hands off the paddles and get to the rod. Well, Dick uses something that's kind of unique, and it's just made for this type of fishing. And what do you call it, Dick?
It's called a strike guard.
A strike guard. Well, why don't you explain how that works?
Well, it's very simple. You leave the bail of your reel off,
Mm-hmm.
and you take your line, and this has a little ball bearing,
Mm-hmm.
which holds the line in the slot here.
Yeah.
And this here adjusts the
Tension?
tension on it.
So what happens is you can let the line through there, and if a fish hits it, it's almost like a release on a downrigger. It allows the fish to run with your line without having your bail.
Exactly.
But yet it keeps enough pressure on there so that you control without your line going loose, and it keeps your line at the right distance.
Right.
So it's a pretty nice little gimmick. Can you buy those in a lot of stores, or are they an old-fashioned?
No, I don't think that it's an old-fashioned thing. Although I bought these when I lived downstate,
Mm-hmm.
and which many people use them, and I have yet to see anyone here using them.
Well, you know, the only
and of
other.
course, I bought them there, and these are as old as the hills.
Well,
but they still work good.
If you didn't do that, and a fish strikes, and you got all that tension just off your drag, wouldn't that cause him to maybe get off if you don't give him line?
Yes, I would think so.
Well, then that's
the reason I use this.
Well, that's something that you all ought to keep in mind if you're going to fish brook trout alone. It's a beautiful way to fish, and you can do it. But you got to be able to let those fish go with it if you're using bait like we are, unlike a fly, because they're not going to hook themselves as easily. So it's a point that we wanted to bring up, and I think it'll make your fishing a little bit nicer. Well, Dick, let's work our way back around. We've got into the shallow, so I'm going to reel in, and we'll keep ourselves moving. You just move fast enough. It almost appears to me, because I've trolled using flies, that we're moving really slow. But you just have to move fast enough to keep that wobbler wobbling, right?
Yes. Keep it from if you can keep it from turning over, you're getting the exact right action.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you get into bass fishing?
Yeah.
Why don't you?
I don't care for it.
You just like trout.
Oh, I grant you, there's a lot of action there. You can't find a much gamer fish than smallmouth bass.
But you have something in your blood that just
I
enjoys.
just don't.
Well, you're not alone. There's a million guys like you. There really are. You'll find that there's some fishermen like me that like to fish everything. But there's an awful lot that either just like to fish bass, they won't fish nothing else,
Right.
or trout fishermen are the fussiest and pickiest of all fishermen, boy. They just want their sport, and nothing else is pure. The rest of all the other fish are pond suckers.
Yeah.
And boy, they watch me and don't let me make a mistake with the sacred trout. And you know, I can understand it, because when I do this kind of fishing, I truly relax the most. I just enjoy it more than any kind of fishing. And you don't have to catch big fish.
No, you don't catch a big fish.
Me or the fishermen in general?
No, dude. Brook trout, you don't catch big fish.
Well, what is the appeal of it?
I just like it. I don't have any, I can't give you any special reason why I like it. I just like to fish. I like to see the fish. You know, I like the color and...
Yeah. Dick, I know exactly what you're saying. I'm glad you're saying it, because you're saying what I feel, really. You're saying exactly how I feel. Sometimes it's hard to put it in words.
I don't put down a bass fisherman or a pike fisherman, you know, because that's his thing. He likes that. Yeah, I like trout.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed being with us today on Rod and Reel Streamside. You know, autumn is a fantastic time to be on the water, and it's a great time to fish. Dick, I want to thank you for fishing with us today and also catching all the fish. I hope you've had as good a time as I have.
A terrific time.
Well, I want to thank you. And I hope you'll be with us again next week, right here on Rod and Reel Streamside. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed our show. And I know from time to time there's shows that I do that you might have a question on where we're fishing or what techniques we're using. Well, send me a letter here in Watertown at Rod and Reel Streamside, 1056 Arsenal Street, Watertown, New York. The zip is 13601. Until next time, we'll see you here on Rod and Reel Streamside.
Local production of Rod and Reel Streamside is made possible by grants from Voyageur Depot Incorporated, Vanier and Orleans, Ontario, meeting fishermen's needs. Faye's Drugs Sporting Goods, Watertown, New York, carriers of a large selection of hunting and fishing equipment. Tip Top Sports Shop, Tupper Lake, New York, suppliers of fishing equipment for the Adirondack region. And Northrop Ford Motor Company Incorporated, Watertown, New York, serving your off-road driving needs since 1913.
Transmission of Rod and Reel Streamside on WCFE is made possible in part with a grant from Gordon's Marine Tackle and Archery, located on Route 3, West Plattsburgh, where sportsmen serve sportsmen. Additional funding provided by Plattsburgh Quarries, Saranac Lake Quarries, Malone Quarries, and Potsdam Stone and Concrete, suppliers of stone and products made from stone to the North Country. And Tud Oak Marine, U.S. Route 2 on Lake Champlain, North Hero, Vermont.
Coming.